on DAB+, online, via the talkSport app and on your smart speaker.
All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
It's a wonder goal!
Women's Football Weekly.
Absolute top quality.
On talkSport 2.
Welcome to Women's Football Weekly. Hearing from one of the biggest names in the women's game, Tobin Heath. Right, let's talk Tobin Heath, shall we? Because last week, talkSport's Bradley Hayden sat down with the Arsenal forward, who's also, don't forget, a two-time gold medalist and a two-time World Cup winner, ahead of the North London derby, which is at the Emirates on the 26th of March. And Bradley spoke to her about moving to the WSL and playing for her childhood club.
Tobin, thanks so much for joining me. First things first, how much are you enjoying your time at Arsenal so far?
Yeah, it's been a great opportunity. Obviously, I came here with, a lot of expectations and, the team and the staff, and just being able to represent the badge has been such an incredible time. So I'd say, yeah, it's been a great season so far.
And how much are you enjoying life in London and the WSL as well?
Yeah, London's an incredible city. There's so much to it. So in terms of living in a place like London, it's great. Even, if you take away the football, it's just a fantastic city to be in. And WSL is a great league. I mean, there's so much to play for, especially this year. There's a lot of competition from top to bottom. You're always, every single week, you don't know what a result's going to be like. So I think it's put a lot of pressure on each fixture, especially this time of year. And I think that's what you want from the league. You want to see a lot of competition, and the fight for the title is really strong. And so I think overall, for a fan of the league and for a player in it, it's a great situation.
Would it be fair to say that you live in the dream right now as an Arsenal fan? Did you ever think, always hope that you would perhaps play here one day? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it was a really unique opportunity being a fan and now having the opportunity to play for a club, that I've just admired my whole career. It's certainly unique, and I feel really blessed to be able to experience that. And then also to be playing for so much. We have the FA Cup, we have the league, and we have Champions League, all coming down to some really key and important fixtures. So overall, the season's gonna be decided by a lot, and it's a extremely ambitious group, and it's a big reason why I wanted to come. So we'll see what happens.
So when you got the phone call last summer, then it was quite a straightforward decision then, I suppose. Yeah,
definitely, for sure. It's I think there were a couple factors to it that made it really unique and possible. But overall, obviously, when I heard the interest, my interest was certainly there.
What are your earliest sort of memories as an Arsenal fan? I mean, what sort of people, what sort of players did you sort of look up to here when you were younger?
Yeah, it's really unique experience as an American because it's obviously not, super popular, or at least when, I started following the Premier League, it wasn't super popular. Nowadays in the U.S., it's much easier to follow along and to be a fan of. But back then I kind of felt very alone in that, but it also brought me great pride, and it took a lot of effort to be able to be a fan too, because it was almost like you always had to always find something or always work to be able to see something. And just collecting the memorabilia, watching the games, I just loved watching Arsenal as a kid. And I was telling someone before, every single year, I'd get the new team poster that I would put up above the old team poster in my room, and just the special players like Henry and Vieira and Cesc. I loved the Invincibles. I loved the way that they played, and then the results that came with that style. And Arsene, his philosophy was just brilliant. You think of players and of coaches that have changed the evolution of football, and this club is iconic for it. So obviously, like, that started the way that I feel about the club and the way that I've continued. And now, obviously it's a unique and special experience to be here as a fan.
Absolutely. And growing up in the States, how did you get into football when you were younger?
I think getting into football is really easy because it's the number one sport, especially for girls. So that part was easy. I think, there was never like kind of that thought of becoming a professional, though, because when I was growing up, that wasn't an actual thing. So, obviously just my love for the game from the very beginning. I played with the football, just continued kind of my career. And it was almost like, having the dream and living the dream at the same time, because, the women's game has continued to evolve really quickly. And grown a lot. So thankfully, I have the opportunities that I have, being able to be a professional at a club like this, and, more and more opportunities, hopefully as the game grows, gives, much more, many more dreams to the next generation.
Absolutely. And for yourself growing up, was there any particular players that you maybe looked up to or tried to sort of model yourself on, or tried to aspire to be like when you were younger?
Not from the women's game, but, I was obsessed with Brazilian football, and particularly Ronaldinho, and just the way that the relationship he had with the football. And, I love players that when you watch them on the field, they do something unexpected or different than what you would assume would happen in a situation. So kind of the innovators and the creators were always players that I was drawn to.
And in terms of this Arsenal team right here now, I mean, you look at the bench at the weekend, you had people like, you had yourself, you had Lottie Wubben-Moy, you had Jen Beattie, you've had people like Beth Mead on the bench in recent weeks. I mean, just how competitive is this Arsenal squad right now? Yeah,
it's extremely competitive, and it has to be in order for us to achieve the things that we want to achieve. We need that competition within the squad, and to make sure that we don't become complacent. And I think that each week brings a different challenge, and sometimes even the weeks that you think would be easy have been more difficult for us. And in order to prepare for the really I guess the circled tough fixtures, we have to make sure that week in and week out, even within training, that we're doing the little bits that add up, to the big moments that are seen.
And you've played with some great players in your career, some great teams as well. Where does this current Arsenal team rank in terms of teams that you've played in your career so far?
I think from a club level, this is by far the most talented team I've ever been a part of. And I use like talent and potential are worth nothing unless you actually win something. So it doesn't necessarily equate to, something that will get written down in the history books, which is what we intend to do. But in terms of just overall team sheet and quality, this is by far the best club team I've been a part of.
And how hungry are the team for success this season? I mean, currently top of the league and still fighting on other fronts as well.
Yeah, I think it's a funny English thing, because I don't think they would admit to being really hungry or whatever. But I do think that the club has some huge goals and objectives that we're staring at in the near future, and it will be exciting to see. I think our performances will show exactly how hungry we are to win.
And in terms of Jonas Eidevall, the manager here, I mean, what's he been like to work with so far, and what are his main strengths?
Yeah, I think kind of going back to the last question, it's clear that we have a manager that is ambitious and that is hungry to win and to get the team playing in a way and in an Arsenal way to win. So I think that he's brought a lot of new ideas and new energy that the group has lifted the group and given a lot of belief. And it's such a long season, so therefore you're always going to have those ups and down moments. But if you could really think of the down moments in a good way and not a bad way, which I think we've bounced back through some tough stretches for us. it has made us stronger. And, even when we've had some games that it hasn't necessarily been performance, but it's just been, just tough games to really grind out. We've shown a lot of character in a lot of games from coming from behind and winning games or tying games, which, doesn't feel necessarily great, having to always work hard for points. Sometimes you want just to get through a game easily. But I do think it's really character building, and I've seen us really dig in to get the results that, you're going to look back at the season and realize how valuable that digging in was.
And in terms of the decision that we saw in the US recently regarding the settlement regarding equal pay, I mean, that's something that's been ongoing for a long, long time now. And just how significant a moment is that decision and that settlement has now been reached?
Yeah, speaking of digging in, it has been a long time, and it's been a long fight, and it's a long time to be, at odds with your employer. So I think from that perspective, both sides are extremely happy to be able to move forward in our relationship and to feel like we're growing the game together and not opposed, because Soccer America will be so much better when we're working towards the same objectives. But I will just commend my teammates and the people that have helped us along the way, because it was exhausting, and to think that even during that time the team was still able to be as successful as we were, while obviously facing another huge battle at the same time, is just a testament to the group.
I mean, how significant could this change be, not just for women's football in America, but for women's football across the globe as well now going forward?
Yeah, I think for a lot of women's football, we are kind of the torchbearers of the progress that needs to be made within the sport. And I think it's always, a responsibility that we've taken very serious, to continue to push the ceiling and to demand more for the women's game. And I think that a lot of other federations and even leagues have looked to us as that standard. And, we continue to fight and to push and to believe and to demand the types of equality that are needed within the sport in order for it to grow, and in order for us to put out the product in the field that makes people proud and able to celebrate women's football for what it is.
Absolutely. And would you like to see other countries follow suit now and try and find similar agreements as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think each country is a little bit different in where they're at in their journey, but I think that if we give inspiration or even a picture for anyone else in order to say, look what's going on over there, like that's the new expectation, that's the new norm for women's football, and we need it here. That was the goal.
And how proud does it make you feel that yourself and your teammates are going to be remembered in history as the people who got this change? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the group has done a lot, for football, both on and off the field. And I think for the things that we're most proud of, this is certainly the very most thing that we're proud of, because it doesn't just influence change from a sporting perspective or a football perspective. It influences huge change towards equality for the whole world.
And what other things would you like to see implemented in the next 5 or 10 years to continue to drive women's football across the world?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I think we should start with just the standards within the workplace. I think that would, to create an actual professional environment for women and for young girls to aspire to be, and to have more fixtures, more games that are celebrating and showing the belief in women's football, like games at the Camp Nou, like games at the Emirates, and understanding that there's so much business opportunity within women's football that isn't even being tapped into, would be fantastic. And to put out a team and a performance that people come to a match and dreams are made from that moment, because they see something absolutely incredible and not something that's mediocre. Like, women's football deserves the incredible.
Brilliant stuff. That was Tobin Heath there speaking to talkSport's Bradley Hayden, of course, Arsenal forward, 2-time gold medalist and 2-time World Cup winner.